Hi, so in this episode of the Docker course, we are going to see how can you use the Docker image. In the previous video, we saw how to download the Docker image, an Ubuntu image for Docker, and and we started to explore a little bit, but then it was too long, so we get to this video now. So I switch to the slide here, just so you can see also what are the commands, and I also open the terminal so we can actually run these commands. I already have the Ubuntu image downloaded, and if I run docker ps-a, then you can see that there's no container not running and not dead and nothing, so there's no container. And I can run here docker run. I say --rm because I want to get rid of it at the end. I tell it Ubuntu 20.20.04. Okay, so this is the image, and then telling it to echo and hello. Okay, whatever. Okay, so this was the first example on the slide that will run the image. It will tell it to automatically remove, so it won't remain the leftover of the container. And I tell it to do this, execute this command, echo hello, and this just echoed the hello string, and it's done. So if I run the docker ps-a again, then you can see that there's no leftover of it. Now, maybe a more interesting thing would be to run here -it. So it gets into interactive mode. I remove the command so it won't execute anything besides getting into the interactive mode. And then you can see that we are inside now the Docker image. I can run here pwd or whatever you would like, any other command. I can exit from this. And then, because I added --rm, if I run docker ps-a, I'll see that there's no leftover. So what happens if I remove this --rm and run it again? Docker will automatically generate the container. It will give it a random name, which is going to be really hard to guess. Obviously, you can't. It will be listed in the list of docker ps. And but then once we exit from the Ubuntu container, that will remain with that name. Now this can be useful when you're playing around, but it's usually better. It's usually more useful to give it a name. So now I can say it --name and give some name, whatever you'd like. So I just used Ubu because it's short. Okay, I just jump back to the slide so you can see the same thing. So here you have docker run -it and the name Ubu and the version number, the name and the tag of that container. So here, and I'll have to cheat and look back to the slide again just to see what to do, what I planned to do. So here now I got into the container, it's running, and I can run all those commands. So I can run the ps command or whatever I want. Was it like htop? Oh, htop, right. So I can run the htop command. Okay, so htop is a command that you probably know. It shows up the load of the server and what processes are running. But as you can see, htop it doesn't exist in this container. So as you know, in Ubuntu, the way to install stuff is to write apt get and then install. Okay, so I try to install htop, and it says that I can't find the package. So now I can't find the package because the list of packages is not in the container. So the way Linux works, and in Ubuntu as well, that you have a list of all the packages available on the server, and so all the packages are available on some servers. Okay, and then there is a list of these packages is also on the server. So in order for us to be able to install something, first we have to download the list of the packages. And the way to do that is here, that's what you can see here, apt-get update. So apt-get update actually updates the list of the packages. And you will have to run this once in a while when you're administering a Linux box and also a Docker container, because you'll want to update the list of the images list of the packages so you can install something. Now this downloaded like 17 different locations, the lists of these packages. So now I can First of all, I could search for the packages, something that we couldn't do earlier. We didn't even try. But now I can tell it to install the htop. And now it knows where to find htop, and it installed it. Okay, so that's what I needed to do. So apt-get install htop. And let me just make sure that we have it here. Yes, so now we have it here. Okay, so here, so the slides are there, so you can get easily back to the slides and then remember exactly the commands and find them later. So now we can run htop, and you can see that the Docker container currently running sees the 4 cores of my machine and the memory usage and whatnot. So it's working now. It has a big load because of the video recording. Okay, so that's htop. Now we can also use the which command to find the locations of various other commands. So which htop would show us where htop is installed. Okay, but we can also ask where is Perl installed. So you can see that Perl is installed as user bin Perl. We can also ask where is Python installed, and you can see, oops, there's no Python. Okay, so maybe there is a Python 3. We don't have that either. So it's no problem. Okay, of course we can install all these things. I just had these ideas of checking software. Okay, so Perl comes by default in this Ubuntu, Python neither version 2, neither version 3, and probably not a lot of other things. But you already know how to install using the apt-get. So basically you would install Python the same way. So you would say apt-get install, and then you would say Python 3, let's say, and that would install Python. Now I'm not going to do this, I'm removing this. Instead of I exit from this container. Now the container is dead, right? So it's not running, at least, okay? So it's whatever the word we should use. So it's not running. If I run docker ps -a, then we can see that indeed there was a container ID, so that's just the ID was generated. This is the name of the image that we are used. This was basically the bash command that was running, so we could use it. When was it created? What's the status? So it exited, okay? And the name, okay, so that would be this random name if we didn't give it a name. But we gave it a name Ubu, and therefore it's listed here. And that's quite important, because in the next thing that we would like to do is to get back to this instance that is stopped. So we can say docker container start and then give it a name of the container, -i and some container name. So this is like the generic command, the second line. Let me enlarge this for a second. So the container, but this is docker container start -ei ubu is the one that we need. So docker container start, right? It's start -i and the name of the container. And that's why it was important for us to give it a name, because otherwise we would have to search. If we have a list of many of these containers, we have to search, and we can't really know which random name was given to the one that we are actually right now looking for. So that's in case you have a couple of these containers running and then stopping and whatnot. So now we are back to the same container. How do we know that we are back? Well, first of all, so one thing that I can click on the up arrow, and I can already see the history of the previous commands I gave, right? So in a fresh container, so if I started this freshly, I wouldn't have a history because it would come from the image. But now I already have the history. So which means that we can also run htop because it's already installed. So now this is the container that was created from the image. The image didn't have htop because that's how this image came. We installed the image, the containers, we stopped running the container. So we have this frozen or stopped container, whatever we call it. And then we restarted it, and now we are back to the container. So this is quite an important part, that you can stop the container and then you can run it again. Now, the next thing that we would do is in the slides is creating a file. So just to show one more thing. So that's a very simple way to create a file. It's just echo some text into a file. So here, this is what I do. Echo hello. That would just, if I just run it this way, it prints to the screen. But I redirect into some file. What was the name of the file? Welcome. Doesn't matter, okay? welcome.txt. So now I have created a file here. I just can type ls-l, and somewhere it's here. Okay, so the file is here. I can say cat welcome, and I can see that the content is there. Okay, so what do we do? The recommendation of the slide is to exit now. Okay, good. So we exit. And then again, if I run ps-a, then we see that it's exited like 2 seconds ago. So this is still the same container, ubu. Okay, so what happens now? Well, if I get back to the container, the file should be still there, right? But before we get back, actually we would like to see something else. So now that we have a stopped container, okay, we can actually copy files from that container. And this is the generic. Now I swap them around, okay. Make sure that when you look at the slide, you'll actually notice that maybe I'll swap them again. So this is the generic command, docker container and copy, and the name of the container and the name of the file or path to the file, okay, and the local copy, local name of it. So if I just want to use the same name, then I put a dot here. So this would be the OR command. So it would be say docker container, okay, this is the docker container command. We are saying cp. Now we put in the name of the container, the name of the file, which can be either just welcome.txt, or because it was in the root of the file system, I could put in the slash, because that would be the full path to the file. And then I say, okay, copy it locally. Before I do it, okay, just for a second, I comment this out, and I just would like to show you. So welcome.txt, in locally I don't have such file. Okay, so now I run this command and I check, and now I have one locally. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure that you see that it's not that like I'm cheating. The file didn't exist locally in the host system. So now we are in the host system, and I can check out what is in this file. So if you have some, it's quite important both for development, and it can be also important for production. So if you have files created, let's say log files created inside the container, and the container stops running, either because you stopped it or because some other reason, then you can even post-mortem, so even after the Docker container stopped, as long as the container exists on the disk, you can copy files from it, even if the Docker container is not running anymore. And that can be very useful for finding out what caused the container to stop, or was some service not to work. So now just one more thing that I wanted to show really. Actually, first of all, let me just remove this file before I forget about it. So Docker, this one, Docker container start. So I'm getting back to the container again. I have now ls-l inside the container, and here the welcome.txt. So even if I get back to the container, of course, obviously, the file is still there. I can leave the container now. Again, it's still there, the docker ps. Okay, it's still there, and we'll create an image out of this container in the next video. So for now, what you obviously need to do is try to do the same set of steps. Obviously, you might want to install some programming language to see how it works. You might want to install all kind of other packages that Ubuntu offers you. And of course, if you're not using Ubuntu, then you can do the same thing with your operating system, with your selected operating system. So see you in the next video. Let me just find this.